And here we are. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Confidence Strategies 101. Happy holidays. I hope you all had a safe and sane Turkey Day. I know that these times are more than extraordinary, and I hope that you're all taking care of yourselves and your loved ones. I'm Carmen Milagro. I'm a confidence strategist and an entrepreneur artist, and I'm your host for Confidence Strategies 101. Confidence Strategies was designed to share and showcase personal stories, people from our community, from all over the world. And, some of the members of our community, well, all the members, as far as I'm concerned, all the members of our community that we talk to are doing extraordinary things in extraordinary ways, in their own way, with confidence and with their vision for the future. And today's guest is no exception. He's one of our own. He's San Francisco native whose heart is based in Polk Gulch, but he was raised in the North Beach area, and we'll get to talk all about that. We have conversations about different ideas and perspectives. I love hearing other people's stories, their challenges, how they overcome, opportunities, their comments, their insights, because every time I have a guest, I learn something new. Sometimes I learn something about myself that I hadn't quite thought of in the way that they frame their stories. It makes me think about things in a different way. So that's what I get out of this, besides getting to talk to really cool and really neat people. They're inspiration, there's motivation, there's aspiration. There's a big difference between the three, I learned the other day, or it was reinforced for me the other day. I'm very honored that our guests spend this time with us and they gift us with their time and their knowledge and their advice, along with some aha moments. Always, I welcome, questions and comments. Make sure that if you get a chance that you share this broadcast and tell your friends about it. Of course, we're coming to the end of the year, but you can always watch the replays on our Confidence Strategies 101 Facebook group page or on YouTube. Tonight's webisode is, as always, sponsored by Music City Hit Factory, and it's no coincidence that our sponsor is here this evening. That's my guest. That's a special surprise. Now, I'm not in the studio today simply because right now, as things get a little bit more clunkier again, and who knows what's going to happen, and we need to be a little bit safer. I'm not making unnecessary trips. And so that's why I'm not in the studio today. But a lot of the broadcast, you have seen me in the studio or under construction in the building, and it's a pretty cool vibe. I do love going there. But tonight's guest, I'm going to bring him on in just a minute. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about him. He is not only our sponsor, but he is a fascinating visionary behind the project called Music City. And we're going to dive into what is that, because there's a lot of you that need to know about Music City and what it means for us as residents and citizens of San Francisco. But he's more than just a visionary. He's a businessman. He's a real estate investor. He's a myth in the North Beach community. He's the captivating frontman for the Unauthorized Rolling Stones. Yes, folks, artists can be multiple things at multiple times and have multiple gifts and talents. That's also a part of Music City. But he is committed to spreading hope for the future. He's committed to nurturing emerging musical talent that is coming out of the Bay Area. And he's the #1 champion for the idea of this San Francisco Music District. We're going to learn all about it and how you can be a part of this historical time in our growth and evolution as San Franciscans. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome him to the show. Rudy Colombini, thank you for taking time to be with me on the show.
Pleasure. Pleasure. I like being with you, whether it's a show or not a show. It's always a show.
Yes, it's always all
Oh,
those Zoom meetings. It's definitely a show sometimes. But no, I really do appreciate. I know it's, this is your personal time, and I try not to encroach on people's personal time. But I also feel that this message, this webisode that we're going to talk about, it's so important that we document, the early stages. Well, we'll talk about where we are, but for me, it's the early stages being involved with you. So thank you again for spending your time, Rudy. I'm
pleasure.
going to I'm just going to dive right in because I think it's so important to just sort of, get to know you and have our viewers and our listeners get to learn a little bit about you on a personal level. I know that a lot of people know you as a performer, but you were born and raised in North Beach. And what was your experience like growing up in North Beach at that time? There's not too many natives, so this is important.
I was an uh, Italian kid going to school. First language. I was raised in an alleyway, and just in the middle of the mecca of what the '60s were and the beatnik era.
Right?
My parents didn't speak English. They didn't have a car. We were like just middle class. I wanted things to be better around my house. I wanted a bigger home.
Right.
A lot of growing pains of being an immigrant, right?
Sure.
100%. And it turned out to produce this. All of those needs, one need after another. I would like more of this, and I'd like more of that. And, I finally did bust through and sort of do what I want to do.
Right. And
Yeah.
what were some of the challenges that you had? I mean, there's a lot of people that know you. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of people that know you here in San Francisco.
Mhm.
I mean, they see the adult version of you, but they may not know anything about, some of the challenges that you experienced while you were growing up and how you overcame them. How were you motivated? Were you motivated by someone outside of yourself, or did you kind of figure it out on your own?
Um, it's hard for me to describe how you do things, how you just have a will. Where I was coming from was a really happy home with the mom and dad and no family, really, other than that, extended family.
Right.
And people that lived like you do in the old country with
Right.
people with, third grade educations, super smart,
Right.
super motivated. I mean, they ended up owning a piece of property in San Francisco, and you know what that means,
Yeah.
right?
At any
Oh,
era.
yeah, in any era. I mean, my mom worked in a sweatshop. My dad is a janitor, uh, and they provided great home for me and a lot of safety.
Right.
And the challenges were really being an immigrant, and the other challenges were they got very sick very fast. And I persevered beyond. Before I get to that, the challenges of um, not being a great athlete um, as a child, and having to do something else to get some limelight going, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So being bullied,
Sure.
all the stuff that I guess in one way or another we all have that.
Most of I think
Yeah.
it's
Right.
very interesting because I have very few times have I met someone who hasn't had some sort of trauma, childhood trauma. And it's just all across the board. I think that's why these stories are so important, because we're not as different as some people would like us to believe. What you're describing in your childhood is very similar to what I experienced in my childhood, being the child of, first generation and being the child of immigrant parents. And I just find that that's the beauty of sharing these stories, is discovering the things that we have in common versus always trying to focus on what the differences are. But you were saying that you lost your parents very early on. And how did that, I mean, there's some ramifications for that. There's some consequences for that, for a young person to experience that so early on in their life. And it could go a couple of different ways.
Right. As I didn't realize that we were going to touch on the personal stuff. You shocked me, and now I've got to think about this.
You can always stop if you.
The hardest part of my life was dealing with the deaths of my parents. My mother got cancer when I was 11. She had radical mastectomy. And my father when I was 14. My father died when I was 18. My mother died when I was 21. And, they did not speak English. It sounds like a sad and warful story, but really, that's what happens in life. You die. People die. I don't believe we need to, but we can get to that at the end of the conversation.
That's another, right. That's another show.
Yeah. I went from being unpopular and struggling, trying to be noticed and to do something, to a cool cat doing something with, but how far can you do the something when your parents are so sick? And they were both sick together. And that's the hard part when there's no one else in the family.
Right, of course.
Am I going to get a therapy check for that? I've got therapy in this.
No, because I think it speaks to, again, there's, as a teenager, there's going to be some, manifestations of these feelings. But at the same time, and forgive me, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but what I've heard you describe is that you also figured out how to become an entrepreneur, like super early on in your life. And if you could maybe talk a little bit about that, because I think that's such an incredible, you have options. We all have options in how we deal with things. And the reason that I'd like to tie into this is because it does tie into who you are now. So I'd like to have people maybe get to know you in a different level that they wouldn't normally get to know you when you're the front man for the Unauthorized Rolling Stones.
What was the question?
The idea of, you decided because you were motivated.
Yeah. I was extremely motivated. As what you see, people don't change that much. I remember at 13 years old, looking for a job, literally 13, with the scavengers. And we called them scavengers, and it wasn't ecology. Right. It was, you went out and you had these big nets. Mm-hmm. You remember this? You put the garbage.
But I heard.
The Italians owned that industry, right? The garbage industry. And I remember going down, my dad said, if you go down the wharf late at night, you go talk to them there. They're getting ready to pick things up. So I went down at 3:00 in the morning at 13, really looking for a man's position, picking up garbage, getting garbage cans, throwing them in a net. In those days, they didn't throw it in the truck. They threw them on the net. And then you brought the net to the truck, right? Yeah. So I went to do that. I was 7 years old. My dad said, "You should be making some money, man." Right? I'm not kidding.
But
You
there's
should be making some money, dude. So,
right, but that's the old world
it,
training, right?
it's
Like,
the old world.
yeah.
Hey, David, just come right in, okay? And I'm on an interview. Thank you. But yeah,
Oh, live.
yeah.
That's
Hold
really so. You started with this
on.
work ethic. What? Where did you go? Wait, we lost you. What
Yeah,
happened?
no, I'm coming back.
Okay, there you are.
Sorry.
So you, so you started with this work ethic, and you started with this idea that was really, it's part of your parents' legacy for you, as the way that I see it, and the way that I'm hearing you tell your stories. And there's as you're growing up, and you start and you realize that you want finer things in life, but you also found this artistic Rudy within you. I heard from a little bird that during this process, you were 17, right around, you had an encounter with a super mega rock star. Can you talk about that and how that impacted who you are?
Okay. First I got to finish that. And as a kid, I used to shine shoes in North Beach in Washington Square Park,
Uh-huh.
and you made like 2 bits. And my father was big on America. Um, he was having a discussion one day with one of his friends, and that really there wasn't an opportunity here. And he said, "Rudy," I said, "I want you to go. I want you to go to Fior d'Italia across the street and ask them. Tell them you're hungry and you'd like to get something to eat." And I'm 6 years old. So I walk across the street and I walk to the back of the place where the kitchen was. You could access it on the other side back alley. And I came with this huge, I'll never forget it, this huge, it was like half a loaf roast beef sandwich.
Ugh.
And he goes, "See, this is what you can do in America." That's the kind of world I come from. That's why I want to tell that story. And that's why I was making money in
Right,
the park, and I was making money.
right,
Simple. And I was 6 or 7 years old.
right,
So, and I want to invest that idea in Jasper, my grandchild, too,
right, right,
and Willow, of
right.
course. Right.
Yes, of course. Yes, you've got grandchildren now, and there's again, that's part of the legacy. But as we're weaving this story together, you encountered a super mega rock star very early. I think you said 17, right? Were
Yep.
you 17?
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? And there's a method to my madness as I'm weaving this all together, I promise.
Okay. It was a wonderful day in my life. I was coming home from being with my first girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
And it was our first time. So, I mean, here I am, like,
You're already on
yeah,
cloud
I'm
nine.
like, this is pretty good, right? This must be a good day. It's the evening, must be 7:30 at night. My mom's making dinner. And right in front of my home are John Lennon and Yoko Ono. And my first impulse is, first, is it real? Can this be real? But this looks like that guy who's John Lennon. And I decide to walk by him, and he sees me looking at him, and he says, "Yeah, it's me." So that opened the conversation.
Right.
And I said, "Yeah, John, I live right here. I'm going on my way home." He goes, "Yoko and I are going for a walk. Do you want to come?" So I'm off
Yeah.
with the Beatle.
Right.
And I'm like a big Beatle fan. I must
Yeah.
have looked like a clone, like a mini me. So, and there I go. And there it's And that's how the world can change.
In an instant, right? I mean, there are people, I believe, that are put in our path to kind of show us the way. So to me, every time you tell this story, it's what my takeaway from this is sometimes that person that you aspire to be, or the elder, or however you want to, whoever that is,
Mhm.
sometimes it's that person who steps into your life that leads the way, that opens the door to a path that maybe you might have missed. In this particular case, they're in your doorway,
Mhm.
literally, but just there are people, I believe, that can change the lives of other young people. And sometimes we do that in different ways. And the reason I ask you about that story is because, we're going to fast forward. You're gigging like mad. You have uh, invested in real estate. You're living a good life, and you get to be this performer, this artist that was one of the things that, this conversation with John Lennon helped to really solidify, right? But my question is, so here you are, you're literally living the rock star life. You're moving along. Life is good in, people's perceptions, right? But then you have this monumental event in your life that brings your entire life to a screeching halt. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was? Now, remember, we fast forward now. You're
Okay. Okay. So, what is the likelihood of John Lennon meeting me in front of my house and speaking to me first?
right.
Right. So, we have to maybe assume that the universe is all perfectly connected, right? And we get to where we go. The truth of the matter is that that particular encounter didn't really seem to become important until my late 40s and early 50s,
Right.
because I saw how I'd lived enough life to realize how almost bizarre something like that is to be. And out of my five major influences musically,
Hmm.
uh, uh, I out of my five major, I've met three of them on the street, and these are all, let's say, at the A list,
Hmm.
like right, James Brown.
Right.
Okay, so why does that happen? I don't know. I've opened up for 40 household names in my career. Um, I, but I've never met again
Hmm.
an A, which is Bob Dylan,
Right.
Elvis Presley, right, something like that.
Right.
I have never again met the ones that seriously changed me.
Right.
I met on the street. I have no answer for that. I met 40 other ones over here, the B ones, right?
Right.
But none of the A ones.
Right.
But so 2 weeks later, one of the questions that I asked John was, how do you write all those great songs? And he said, Rudy, they've all been written. Uh, you steal a little here and you steal a little there. And what that did for me was, when I was trying to write songs, remember, I was pretty young to be writing in those days.
Right. Right.
Um, when I was writing songs, I always thought, well, this must be that, or this must be. He got me over that. It's like, don't worry about it. Just continue, see
Right.
what happens, move forward.
Right.
And 2 weeks later, I was writing. I had written something that was complete, not very good, but complete.
Right. Right. And
Right.
and again, that's the in my opinion, that's the job of the elders that kind of guide us and what we're doing here on the show, right? If we can inspire someone to get past a block, whatever that is. So, and again, you're an anomaly as far as some artists are concerned, because you have this incredible business sense. You built this life for yourself, that you're driving the Ferraris, and you're doing all of this, but something happened in your life that was totally unexpected, and it just completely derails you. And if you could share with us a little bit about what happened and what that means, to what it opened up for you as far as what your purpose in life is.
Are you relating the John Lennon part?
No, now we're moving forward, all the way forward.
So what other thing was the major thing that?
Right. So
Right.
when you shared with me,
Okay. Yeah. Well, the deaths of your parents at a really young age, and not only that, having to some degree, nurse my mother
sure,
at 18. I mean, at 18, I mean, you know what it's in a man's life at 18. We're just all over the place, right?
right.
We're pollinating. And I had to reel it all back in, and all of a sudden I'm in this place where I'm a musician and I'm being noticed, and wow, would he let me extend myself? No, you gotta be home. Your mom's
right.
So that tug of war, in even though I am late for most things, I'm highly responsible. Right, I'm highly responsible, and I get what needs to be done. And that highly responsible thing came from having to be there for two dying parents.
Right.
Literally living my teens in hospitals.
Right.
And
that sets the course for you as a business person,
exactly.
as an adult.
Right.
All of that.
So you become an adult as a teenager.
Right.
Really. So mom and dad don't speak English.
Mm-hmm.
You want to communicate with the doctors. You do it.
Right.
What medication do you want to put mom on? So that, but at the end of the day, the fact of what I was going to do something because I am so willful.
Right. Willful is a great word, I think.
Yeah.
So you built this life for yourself. You are literally living the rock star life, and then your health. What happened in that time frame for you, where the way that I've heard you describe it before is that you all of a sudden came to understand what your purpose in life was, and that purpose turns out to be Music City. But what I'd like people to understand is, the things that we go through life as young people, and the traumas and the challenges and the obstacles and overcoming all of that. And you think you've got it together as an adult, and then something happens to your health, literally.
Well, luckily, when that happened, I'd been studying the Course in Miracles for nearly 20 years.
Right.
And the Course is a universal spiritual discipline. It could be Buddhism, it could be Gnostic Christianity, or whatever. It's that thing where you're not your body, and you really don't need to worry about this. So without that course, I probably would have handled it a lot differently. I mean, I had a major bleeding aneurysm, which means that once an aneurysm bleeds, there's like a 10% chance of surviving. I arrested twice that night. And I was almost undaunted by it. It's like, really? right? And
That's all you got?
right. And people would talk to me and they'd say, "Now listen, Rudy, something very serious happened to you."
Right.
And I'd look at them like, "You're taking this too seriously." See, look, I'm alive because I'm meant to be alive. It's
Right.
not as simple as that. It's just
Right.
I'm alive because I'm meant to be alive,
You're meant to be
and
alive.
I'm following this guidance. I have no idea who created me. I am as God created me,
Right.
and here I am.
Right. And now living this life because you're meant to be alive, how does that tie into what you're building at Music City? That's really the core of the crux of
I'm building Music City for the ages, for the universe, forever, forever.
and for everyone.
And what anything that's built with the intention of a community and a family, and especially an art that can change the world, is it's spiritual.
Right.
It's like the moon, like the stars. it's it's God given.
Well, and it's Jimi Hendrix, right? Electric church. That term fits, in my opinion, fits what you're creating, what you're building here in San Francisco called Music City. To me, that's like the perfect modern day description of what that means to me, electric church, in the sense of this place where people come together around music and art. But for those that don't know, which I find it fascinating that we're trying, we're trying to help people understand what Music City is. And I think hearing it directly from you would be so helpful for people to understand. I mean, this could be the beginning or the epicenter of a new dawn for the city of San Francisco, a San Francisco music district. Can we talk about that? I mean, that to me is
With
so
a
exciting.
center point, a
Yes.
music district with a center point.
Yes.
What is Music City for? I'd have to start from the point of view of the artist. So, what would a 17-year-old rocker, and who knows what a 17-year-old is doing now, electronica or
Right.
I don't know, but somebody who's just very involved in the frequency of music and what its power is hypnotically, even. This is where they need to be. They need to be here because they're taught and they're seen. They're taught and they're recognized. And the Music Hall of Fame being in the same building creates the family that every child wants in order to be able to move along.
Right.
So, by keeping this place packed for one reason or another,
Mhm.
whatever the excuse is, doesn't matter. By
Well,
the way, Jimi Hendrix Church on Sunday sounds fine to me.
of course,
Okay.
I figured
Yeah,
you would like that. But I
right.
mean, we're talking about a physical location, and we know right now, let's be very clear, we know right now there's limitations because of what we're going through as a society, as the world is going through COVID. We understand that. But what Music City means to me is hope for the future. Let's plan for the future. We can start online now, and we're covering so many different aspects: education, entrepreneurial skills, this concept of, Rudy, you're one of the elders. You can share your experiences like John Lennon did for you. You want to do this for other young musicians. I think there's something so powerful in this story. And thank you for being the visionary to create this.
I'm meeting with the city of San Francisco with a big ask. And that last thing that you said, I will remember all of it.
Okay, good. Well, we're going to record it and I'll send you the recording. because it's true.
You know, what we're doing is we're setting up the best case scenario for somebody to succeed. It doesn't make any sense for someone to learn a lot of stuff, put it on hold, and you're going to use it someday.
Right.
When you're learning what you're learning at Music City, you get to go perform it out. What you're going to do it, you can do it in the 4 recital rooms.
Right.
You can do it in the 4 venues, or you could do it out in the Alley Arena.
Right.
You get to perform it. And there are people there because it's a destination.
Right.
A destination. So let me figure it out. I got to get this here. Where am I going tonight? It's Saturday night. There's a place that has 29 fucking stages. 29 fucking stages. And I don't have to drive from one to the other. I don't have to walk from one to the other. Are you kidding?
You know that I can't beep you, right? I can't.
No,
I can't.
mean, are you kidding? What I'm saying is,
no, I know.
This is just, it's a mega creation. Not only are you seeing the 29 stages, but you get into the hearts and minds of visionaries. Plus, 29 stages.
Right.
You got 75 visionars or exhibits of everything from Journey to Janis Joplin to Green Day to and you know, just go down the line. So we're honoring everybody and an awful lot of unknowns.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Imagine that you're an emerging artist and you're creating music downstairs in one of the studios with the knowledge that the San Francisco Music Hall of Fame is just a couple of floors above you. What better motivation and aspiration to have than to say, I'm right here. I want to get to that level. I want to be in the San Francisco Music Hall of Fame. To me, if I had had that growing up when I was a kid, my life story, I have no regrets for my life, but my life story would have been different had I been, fostered and nurtured in this kind of way by people who care about music, who care about education, who care about teaching real life skills that musicians and artists need in the business of music. All in one place, one glorious place called Music City.
That was well said.
Well, thank you.
That was well said. I mean, what a thing to do. So creating an environment where, first of all, I'm needed. If I learn what I need to learn, I'll be able to be needed and wanted. That's and create.
Yes.
So for an entertainer, doesn't get any sweeter than that.
And we will eliminate that idea and that concept of a starving artist, which I cannot stand. I don't like labels to begin with, but I really dislike that, the starving artist. I've never believed in it. I don't think anyone should experience it. And here's an opportunity for people who are artists and musicians to learn not to fall into that trap. I'm just so thrilled with what you're doing, Rudy. And, I know that this is sort of like the theme is the perfect gift. I know that you have a song called The Perfect Gift, but you're also working on new material and new songs. And I wonder, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but maybe we can end the show with maybe like a new Christmas song since we're going into the holidays. Would you be able to do that? Would you be wanting to do that?
All right. So first of all, The Perfect Gift, I don't remember. And, it's just like a few chords, but I don't remember it anyway.
That's okay. I just put you on the spot. This was not
are we done with this interview so far?
I think there's a couple of things I'd like to just let's if you're willing to do the song, a song,
Yeah,
whichever
no,
song it is,
sure.
we'll do it at the end.
I would
So
love to.
okay, perfect.
Mhm.
What I was really wanting to sort of also draw out from you is, you're a confident adult, but that wasn't always the case, it sounds like. Um, and what would if you had your class of musicians, artists, emerging musicians that you want to leave them with something, it's the end of class, they're getting ready for the holiday break, what would you say to them if you could just say it to us, to the camera, like some life advice as a musician? Like, what would you leave them with for them to ponder during the break?
Well, first of all, you're giving me too much credit. Mm. I am not that confident. I'm really not that confident. Um, I deal with all the mind chatter that, you know, what I would tell any artist, the most vile, it's not what to do. What to do comes naturally.
Mhm.
Don't compete.
I love that.
Don't compete.
Yeah.
If you compete, you're killing yourself. You got to stand in your own energy and how great you fucking become. That's
Right.
right. For who you
And
are. And
yeah,
right.
I agree 100%. To me, my approach has always been collaboration, and I know what my strengths are as an artist, as a songwriter, as a singer. I know what my strengths are, and I also know my weaknesses. So by collaborating instead of competing, I don't like that in my personal life. I don't like it in my artistic life, and I don't like it in my business life.
Hmm.
I don't like competition. I'm probably the only person on the planet that has never watched an episode of American Idol or any of those
There-
competition.
There's at least two.
Okay.
There's
I've
at
never
least two.
seen one.
I don't want to do that.
I don't
But
like
as a
that.
matter of fact, I have a out of all the things that we're going to do at Music City,
That's not
Battle
one.
of the Bands is not on the list.
There you go.
Some
But
sort of
we
that doesn't
showcase.
some showcasing,
Yes.
we could have some purpose, but it
Yes.
shouldn't be that.
Thank you. I agree with you 100%. That's another reason why I love having these conversations with you. Um, I know that, like, there are some people, like always, right? As an entertainer, as a performer, some people love what you do, and then other people's, we're not their cup of tea.
Mhm.
Some people might not really understand what you're trying to build here, and some people might be, and I think you've already experienced some of this. There's some negative vibes that are always going to come at you. How do you handle that? And I think that is part of being confident, in one way or another, is how do you handle those negative Nellies who are like, oh, this will never happen. Oh, this is a bad idea. What are you, crazy? Like, I know I've gotten that a million times, and I almost feel like I've become immune as I get older. I wasn't always immune.
Mhm.
How do you deal with that negative force that may try to come at you?
Thank you for sharing. Uh,
Yeah.
you could give them a whack. You know, how do you do it? I don't know. I
Yeah.
and it's not like we always feel good about it because we don't.
Well, it's a tough
And
road.
even people that love you at times don't like what you do.
Or they don't understand it, perhaps.
Right.
And so that causes a problem. Now, I know that we are in the process of raising money to complete the infrastructure of the building. You've already
Hmm.
invested a great deal of your time, your
Hmm.
energy, and your own personal finances.
Hmm. Yeah.
And how can people who do love this idea, how can they participate? Are you looking for donations? Are you looking for sponsors? Are you looking for investors? What can the community who does, there are going to be lots of people who don't like this idea, but there's going to be a lot more people that do like this idea. How can people be a part of this piece of history of San Francisco's evolution?
There's two ways to go. There's one big way, which is all or nothing. We could use $10 million today,
Okay,
right?
that's our ask.
And I don't think that that is a bad investment for an oligarch. Not a bad investment. It's great. It has a great return. As a 501c3, there is a 501c3. It is opened. The way to get to it, my number is 415-601-8777. If you want to donate, please call. What do we do? Lots of stuff. We had 200 gigs set up before COVID for local bands. We have a mobile unit, which is all of that, a little pack that you pick up, and it's got a microphone, a PA, and it's got a little drum set. You can play your drum. So you take it anywhere you want, and you can busk. One day, I made $250 in just an hour and a half. Wonderful, sure. So we do everything you can imagine for musicians. There's an educational thing going on right now. You're going to be part of sort of the tail end of it, but where we are now, we're going to be opening up classes on Zoom. You want, if you like music and you want to bring it back to the city, donate to Music City, San Francisco. It's a 501c3, and we will bless literally thousands of musicians with your pennies, dollars, or
Hundreds of dollars,
thousands of dollars.
No, and we'll put that information into the Facebook group. We'll put, we'll get all that information. There's the website that people can get more information. But Rudy, thank you so much for sharing all this information. I know that it's a compacted way to kind of get your story and the story out of Music City, about Music City out there. I think that it's an extraordinary time. It's an extraordinary opportunity for those who wish to see it. You're building it. You've been building it. How many years have you dedicated yourself to this project now?
Over 10.
Right. I mean, this is something, if this isn't what perseverance and dedication and all those coaches talk about, you got to just never give up. I think you're the prime example of this. And so I think that for people, and something that else I think that's really important for people to understand is this isn't just this artist's dream. Your background, your degree is in economics. I don't know that a lot of people know this or understand this. So you were able to build your life, your lifestyle, your fortune using the same application and concepts of economics that you are putting into this vision, into this project. And I think that's really important for people to understand.
This project has the capability of turning San Francisco truly into a music city again. If the city wants it, and the city can follow my directions, and the directions are very well experienced myself. So I've been the first show I played was at Sweetwater. I was 17 years old. I'm 66. That leaves almost 50 years of experience. I remember the days of putting up flyers where, I would go around my neighborhood, and there were telephone poles then. right?
Right.
So I understand the different levels of music. I guess the last one would be being on national radio in 1998, being played on 700 stations.
Right.
So I've done Northern California. I've played just about every venue. In what I have to say is that I can do this. If the city really wants this, um, I am a joyful participant.
Right. And
Right.
the opportunity here is a collaborative effort, right? To create something out of, right now it's not ashes, but in a way it kind of is. I think people are looking for hope that the future will, that we'll be able to rise out of where we are right now. People are in a funk.
That's
And
where my song comes in.
right, there you go.
That's where my song comes in.
So, perfect. I
No,
think we're going to wrap up on
I, I,
that note.
I had to write. I haven't written in 10 years. This is my first tune.
Right.
And
And you're going to debut it here.
I'm going to debut it here.
Okay. I'm going
Yeah.
to let you get ready. I'm going to just let you get ready. I'm going to bring you back. I'm just going to do some wrap up, notices, and then I'll bring you right back. So
Okay.
just tune away. I'll be
Will you
right
let
back.
me know when I'm on?
I will. I
Because
promise.
the other thing is I don't really fully know the song. I'm winging it.
That's
Right?
okay. That's
It's very
part
fun.
of but again, isn't this part of the beauty of what Music City is? We get to see music as it's being created while you're walking the halls. That's part of the beauty of it.
Part of the excitement.
Exactly. Okay, so I'll be right back. I just want to again say thank you to Rudy Colombini. We're going to do something really special because it is almost the end of the year. While he's tuning his guitar and getting ready, he's going to share with us the first song that he started to write in the last 10 years. So we're going to get to see the evolution of this song. And later on, who knows, maybe it will be playing and streaming all over the world. But I just wanted to say thank you for tuning in. And I promised you many, many weeks and several times throughout this season of Confidence Strategies 101 that I was going to share with you. You've gotten a special insider's look as to what the future of artistry and musicianship for San Francisco can be. You can be a part of this project. I'll go ahead and post the website and I'll get you all that information. One thing before I let Rudy finish off the show with his music, I think this is an extraordinary time for us all if we choose to see opportunities and we choose to be hopeful. Thank you again for spending Tuesday night with us. And next week is going to be the last show of the season, and I'm going to do something very special, which kind of makes me a little nervous. I'm actually going to have 6 people. There's going to be 6 of us on at once. We're going to do a celebration of visual artists from all over the world, including Japan. And we're going to talk about art and how important it is to feed our souls. And that's the note that I want to leave you with on our last show next week. I'm going to bring us right back to Rudy Colombini. He's going to lead us out with a performance. Where did he go? With an impromptu performance. I kind of put him on the spot. Rudy, are you all ready to just share with us your song?
I'm ready, Teddy.
Okay.
I want to let me just preface it a little bit.
Yes.
So I finished this song Saturday night.
Uh-huh.
And I don't really know it, but I didn't want to play any other song because
okay. No, I get it.
I'm like, I need a forum for it. And this is great.
Okay.
And as you can see, what I'm lining up on my screen is the lyrics.
Okay. We never would have known that.
Oops. This is about COVID, and it's about resurrection, and it had to be. I mean, what else would you write about if you can write a song and how this is and how this can be overcome? Everything you've been waiting for, everything you've been wanting more of, everything you've been praying for is coming around. Everything you've been craving for, just open the door. Lord, it's now coming. Yes, it's coming to you. This is Christmas. Get my mic here. This is Christmas time. All the things that you're hoping for, all the things you've been dreaming for, all the things that you can't ignore can be clearly seen. All the things you can't laugh about, they drop to the floor. Lord, it's now coming. Yes, it's coming to you. Yes, it's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. Yes, it's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. There's no war that can't be won. There's no song that can't be sung. Set us free again. Coming through the sunshine, over the cliff, the deepest, darkest hour makes a total eclipse. We're here for the sun, Lord. We're here for us all. I'm coming to you, my loves. Bring everyone. It's now coming. Yes, it's coming. Look, it's coming. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. It's so bright. It's so bright. It's Christmas time.
That was incredible. Thank you, Rudy. I can see, I mean, from where I heard it the first time to where you are now, you've got the lyrics. I love this. Thank you so much. You know, before I let you go, thank you so much for sharing that. This is a first. Like, you haven't performed it.
Oh, here comes yet another show.
Yeah.
No time to use the John. Got to keep it rolling on.
Okay, now this is starting to feel like the after show. But before I let you go, you've got something happening tomorrow that we should talk about.
We have the ribbon cutting for our 75 huge picture frame museum at New York City.
And it's virtual.
And it's virtual. You can't really come there.
Right, you can attend there.
And where do they see it? I don't know.
Well, we'll direct them to your page on the thread underneath this.
All right.
Don't worry, I got your back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your vision with us, Rudy. Every time I talk to you, it just gets like more and more real. I get more and more excited about what this project. I see the potential. I know that a lot of people will welcome this and they'll get it, because what you're doing right now is just the tip of the iceberg. The San Francisco Music Hall of Fame, the gallery of photos, that's just, that's the enticing, the things that are ready now that we can share. But the future is what I'm really excited about. So I know that I've taken up an hour of your.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
What's that?
We are blessed, all of us. Yeah, we're just lucky we get to do what we do here.
With the intention that it
Yeah.
was meant to have.
That's right.
So thank you, Rudy. Thank you. I really, really appreciate just being a part of this. Really, it just fills my soul with joy.
I just want to give to you the perfect gift today.
There it is.
And I love you all. And you know it's true. And I love this world. I share my heart with you.
There it is. The perfect gift for San Francisco is coming soon. The Music City Project. Learn all about it, and I will see you. Thank you, Rudy, once again for being my guest and taking the time out of your schedule. I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll see you all next Tuesday for our final show of the season where we're going to celebrate 5 different artists all at once on the screen. And if you know a little bit about me, how I cringe with having to deal with new things and technology, that's going to be the show to watch. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.